podcast with your hosts, JC Cornell and Samir Ali.
Welcome to Fully Loaded. This is your host, JC Cornell, alongside with Samir Ali. As always, we're going to focus on, our draft picks the next couple weeks. We'll get you guys to know them a little better. We're going to call it Inside the Pick. And obviously, the first player we're going to talk about is our first round pick at 26, Graham Barton, offensive tackle from Duke. Samir, how you doing?
I'm good, man. I'm excited to do this because this is going to be a little bit of a lesson for me, too, because you're going to know a little bit more than I'm going to know. And I might know some little tidbits that you may not know. But we get to learn about these guys together while we inform these other people out there. And what better person to start at than number 26, Graham Barton, future Hall of Fame center? I don't know. We'll see. Yeah, we're going to find out.
We'll see. Knowing Jason Light, it could be. But, Graham Barton, born and raised Brentwood, Tennessee boy, maybe likes Morgan Wallen a little bit. June 1st, 2002 birthday. I'm a June 3rd guy. I'm a Gemini right with him. So that I understand how he's a little bit crazy. So I respect that. But yeah, he lived his life in Tennessee, went to high school at Ravenwood High School, was ranked the number 14 guard his senior year in the nation, and number 10 prospect in Tennessee, which is pretty darn good.
Yeah. So when you think Tennessee, you think, blue collar, get your hands dirty type of place, right? And then when you look at what he did, he played defensive line and offensive line all 4 years in high school.
Unbelievable.
That's pretty wild, right? They went 13-2 his senior year, and they win the I think they win the state championship there with him playing both sides, and he's dominating. I mean, he's, like you said, like a top prospect in high school throughout the entire country. Dude, to know that you're drafting an offensive lineman who could play both sides of the trenches, because that you need some anger to play defensive line, JC. So that's a big thing for me. I saw that and my eyes lit up. I was like, oh shit. Okay.
You'll see a lot of these players in the league, though. I mean, just say Vita Vea. Vita Vea played running back. Vita Vea played defensive tackle at when he was going to high school. So, oh shoot. Sorry, I just started playing Morgan Wallen in my earphones. No, that was wild.
I can't hear it, so you're good.
No, what I was gonna say was that Vita Vea played both ways. A lot of these really good guys played both ways in high school, and they're just absolute monster athletes. Like I said, he goes to Duke. He plays.
Wait. Before that, hold on.
Oh,
JC.
If you got more, then please let me know.
Oh no, we got more. So I like to look at where a guy comes from in terms of his family and the kind of people that raised him. So one of the first things that people talk about with him is he was stupid smart, like crazy high level IQ guy in high school, but that comes from his parents. His mom was, I believe, a public relations director in some capacity for, I believe, an office for the state of New York. Okay, her family comes from a long line of public servants in that regard. And then his dad is a ridiculously smart human being. He worked at Schneider Electric for 30 something years, okay, up there. And he worked at like high level type stuff, talking about like setting up electric grids throughout the entire state, that kind of stuff, like high level IQ stuff. Then when he finally retires, he's now a consultant for cybersecurity, power grid designs and systems and all this kind of like, that's where this guy comes from. So not only does he understand hard work, he's also got a massive brain to go with it, which is, again, something I look at. I like to see where these guys come from. Like, if we would have gotten Zach Frazier, he comes from that hard-working family. A guy like Fisk, his mom and dad. One guy, I believe, his dad worked at a factory and his mom's a nurse. Like, that's good. That's character-type stuff you need.
Well, someone hit the drums because Graham Barton went to Duke. And it's pretty hard to go to Duke unless you're a really, really smart human being. I mean, Duke is a really tough place to go, and the fact that he chose Duke, one, for his education, and the fact that he had a scholarship to go there, it means the world for these players that go to that school. I mean, Duke's a very prideful school to go to. I know a lot of lawyers locally in Sarasota that have gone to Duke. I mean, just impressive people that go to that university. So I'll let you.
You don't accidentally go to Duke.
No,
doesn't happen. Not. You don't accidentally fall into Duke. The other thing too about his time in college, was, I believe it was the COVID year. He was a true freshman, right? The guys in front of him get injured. He ends up having to play, and he starts the last 5 games of the season, I believe. Can you guess what happened after he started 5 games, okay, as a true freshman, JC? You tell me, how did that end up after 5 games? What did the rest of the ACC think about that kid?
Was an all freshman, all American.
After 5 games?
Yeah, after 5 games,
Also,
all freshman, all American, and that's at center, by the way. He played center at his freshman year. When he went to his sophomore year, he switched to left tackle for his sophomore and junior year. But yes, as a freshman, takes over 5 games in the ACC as a center and wins freshman All-American. Unbelievable.
Not only that, I guess they just threw him in. They didn't even train him. They didn't have a choice. So they're like, hey, you're up, kid. Let's go. And they just threw him in, and the kid picked it up. Like, what? As a true freshman from high school to college, that's kind of, I don't know if it's as deep of a jump as, college to the NFL, but it's a jump to not have any experience at center in that system that you're in at Duke.
I mean, you got to also think about this. So freshman year at Duke, playing center as a freshman All-American, then has never played left tackle. They decide his sophomore and junior year, he's going to be the starting left tackle for Duke. And I believe, yes, his junior year, all first team ACC as a left tackle. And this guy in the draft, they said, he's got too short of arms to play tackle. Well, he did a hell of a job doing it.
Well, I think Jason Light said it during his press conference after they picked him that naturally in college, you take your most athletic offensive lineman and you just kick him out to left tackle. And that's just how it is. Whether he's, the left tackle at the NFL level or not, doesn't matter. But he was clearly already the most athletic guy on the line. So they threw him out there. He flourished. He plays mean. He plays aggressive when he gets his hands on you in the run, in run blocking. He drives you into the ground. And so all that stuff that Jason Light talked about, and it's all on tape there at college in Duke. It's crazy what he was able to accomplish and how he was able to play. And again, with almost no training, it seemed, but his IQ, again, back to the IQ, so high that he was just able to pick things up, translate that from, what he's watching in film, what he's getting coached up on, and just putting it out on the field and turning into results. And, he pancake blocked a couple of guys. I believe he led the conference at one of the years he played in terms of finishing blocks. His numbers are off, just crazy when you read them out loud. They don't seem real. They're very much like Tank said the other night. It's like he's Buzz Lightyear.
Yeah, I mean, you want to talk about his high IQ, which he has, this Duke athlete, but then you go to the athletic side, and you talk about his RAS score as a center being a perfect 10.0, the best athletic graded offensive lineman in draft history. Graham Barton. And Jason Light sitting there at 26. I know he's calling people. He's worried about it. Guy falls to 26. Light gets his guy at center. And I did want to say, Sammer, I was looking at rookie minicamps today. Might not mean a lot, but Graham Barton was snapping the ball at center.
Yeah, well, they talked about it. I think Liam said that we're going to start him at center in terms of the competition and see where it goes. And if, he doesn't pick it up quickly enough in camp, and it's going to be between him and Hainsey, then they'll kick him out to guard. But they're going to give him every opportunity to be that guy. And I think it's, again, I've said it twice now, his IQ. His IQ is something that they circled when they met with him, not only from a football standpoint, but again, he went to Duke, and I believe he's got, what is it? It has something to do with government, what he went to school for. I just can't remember.
Political science?
Politicals, yeah. And so, that's not, again, you got to have a big brain to do a lot of that stuff. And it was one of the things that a lot of teams, not just the Bucs, said when they met with him, they very much felt the intelligence level coming off of him just as a human being, let alone from the football side, drawing up plays, things of that nature, and recall. But from a human-to-human interaction, they said that his intelligence just comes off of him almost immediately and that's another, that's something that Jason Light values. Guys like Spytek, they value that in their center and their offensive lineman because, again, as well as I do, man, if you're a quarterback, you got to have an offensive lineman in front of you at center that's probably smarter than you in order for things to really work out the right way.
Well, I mean, you would hope so, but with Baker Mayfield, so if Baker Mayfield's making the checks at the line, think about the fact that Graham Barton's right in front of him playing center, and he can also help Baker with calling out certain things. Like, he has that intelligence to keep Baker aware, and Baker letting him know where the pass rush is coming from, where the blitz is coming from. That's huge for Baker, and that's just huge for the franchise moving forward.
he's gonna have responsibilities as a center regardless in terms of calling out plays to the rest of the guys on his line with him. He's gonna have those responsibilities. He's gonna have those checks. Him and Baker are gonna work together. How much they put on his plate, I don't know yet. We'll see if it's a lot at the beginning or if they kind of bring him along throughout the season. But he's also gonna have to do something that's different from college, which is look down the field and actually understand what's going to be happening. Try to find, the clues in the defense to tell you what's going to happen. Where I think it was an interview I heard the other day with the former center of the Rams. I think it's Brian Allen. He talked about his jump from college to the pro levels and how you used to go from, there's more guys on the right side, so let's just go to the left, to now I have to understand where the nickel is coming from, how he likes to blitz at a certain looks, what do the safeties look like they're doing and what they might be doing, and having to understand all that on film. That's going to be something that Barton's going to have to learn. And you know what? Again, IQ, so I think he will be able to catch those things on pretty quickly, but that's, another part of that process, and that's what I'm excited about when you get to know him and read about him and find, why they like this kid. It makes a lot of sense because he's going to be another brain on that field.
Oh, for sure. And, I'm going to start a little segment that we're going to do for the next couple of episodes so that we can keep each other accountable on these picks. I want a grade on this draft pick on number 26. I want you to give me A+, A minus, because let's just say, I'm going to give an A+ to Bucky Irving and Bucky Irving flops, right? Mm-hmm. Let's keep ourselves accountable. What are you going to give Graham Barton here at number 26 as a grade for a draft pick?
I mean, A+ is hard, man. I feel like an A+ is that's a tall order, and that's gonna make me look bad if it explodes in my. I'll give him an A for sure. It's an A pick, and that especially the way it played out, I don't see any other option where they're at that makes a lot of sense. Where you get a guy that comes in, checks off every single box in terms of what a Buccaneer is for Jason Light and the guys in the front office, and again, big brain. He's physical. He's got a mean streak. He's got the personality of a Tristan Wirfs, which is, if you've heard anything from inside that locker room, that he's considered the best teammate, the greatest guy to play with in terms of Tristan Wirfs. So to bring a guy in who has the same personality.
Did you see the video? So it was kind of awkward at first. And then Tristan's in a tank top, with his whole chest out. He's got his little shorts on and he's like, what was Tristan's name for arms on Friday? It was and then Graham Barton goes, Fat Arm Fridays. And then they were like, oh, yeah, they dapped it up right after that. Dude, but I just thought that was great.
Tristan's wearing the whole I've been in the gym for 45 hours look that you see from those big dudes. But it a phenomenal look, honestly. It looked awesome. If you could rock it, you rock it. And no one's going to say anything to that guy. He's stronger than most people.
Side note, though, Tristan Wirfs is an absolute unit, dude.
Yeah, dude.
That. Do you know they've admitted he's 365 pounds, and that dude is basically chiseled.
So have you ever seen him in person outside of a football uniform and outside of
No.
Dude, he legitimately looks like the Hulk when you meet him. He looks
crazy.
like the Hulk in just regular clothes, and his clothes are huge. So he looks like Smart Hulk towards the end of the Avengers series. Dude, it's crazy. He looks so strong and massive that you would never He doesn't look like what you would think an offensive lineman would look like.
And then now that I've thought about it, since you said it earlier, you look at Graham Barton. When I look at Graham Barton, I'm thinking almost like one of the guys from Space Jam. You know what I mean? One of these huge monster guys from
the Monstars.
And then he looks like a Monstar. The guy is huge.
Massive,
I think
massive human being. But seeing him next to Tristan Wirfs, he kind of looks small. Tristan looked huge next to him, dude. But going back to what we were talking about, he's got the Ryan Jensen tenacity. He's got Tristan Wirfs' personality, and he's got that ridiculous, mean, just finish the block at all costs kind of accountability to himself and that aggressive nature that he plays with, dude. That's an A pick. It could be an A+. Is an A- higher than an A? I don't want to give it an A+ because it's high. It's like giving a 10 out of 10 to a pizza joint.
I hate to tell you this, but I'm giving it an A+.
It's an A+ in your book. It makes sense.
I mean, the fact that you can have Barton now on a rookie contract for 5 years, pay Tristan Wirfs what he deserves, and have those guys on the same line anchoring this offensive line. I mean, the offensive line is going to help us so much. We've been the worst in the running game for 2 years straight in the league. Yeah. This is going to open things up, open holes for Rashad, open holes for Bucky Irving. It's going to be a lot of fun to watch.
even if he doesn't play center, I think it's still a great pick because
Oh,
of
for
what
sure.
it's going to change. And in like worst case scenario, you get Hainsey for another year. You bring him along, slowly until he's ready to be. I think ultimately he is the future center. Whether it's this year or not, we'll see. But for them to have kind of a plan in place to where he can go either option in this first year to kind of learn things and bring him along, you put him at guard, you're automatically going to have. I mean, Tristan Wirfs and then Graham Barton next to him on the same side, dude. I mean, you don't even need to worry about the other two guys at that point. You just run to the left every single time. It's going to generate first downs and yardage, right? That'd be an amazing setup. But having him at center ultimately would be the dream scenario.
I do think he will be the starting center starting the season. I really do.
I do too. I like the fact that they had this plan laid out to where he doesn't have to be forced into it if he's not ready. They're going to
as they should, though.
Yeah.
As they should. I mean, I know there's talk about Cody Mock last year that he could be a left guard, a right guard. He could take center snaps. I think they're going to keep Cody at right guard, and I think it just plug and play. Graham Barton's almost a Pro Bowler at center.
It makes no sense to move Cody at this point.
No,
it makes no sense to do that. But with Graham, the only reason I mentioned the plan is because you see so many other teams draft a guy and force that square into the peg, whatever they call it, the square peg into the square hole, or the circle peg in the square, whatever, however it goes.
Yeah.
They force the issue when the guy's not ready, as opposed to having a plan in place where if he can compete here, but he's still not ready, then we can slide him over here. Because you really have two holes in the Bucs scenario, so they have an option to kind of, bring him along at his own pace. Not to say that he's slow, but if things don't mature fast enough for a guy like that, because again, it's a jump. It's a lot of stuff you're computing at the center position. It's good to see that you're still going to get him on the field. He's still going to play, and he's still going to have a massive impact regardless. But again, dream scenario, and obviously long-term, he is the center here for the next 15 to 18 years, I would assume.
So basically, Samer, what you're trying to say is Baker's comfortable with Robert Hainsey, and if it need be that Graham Barton can play left guard, Hainsey can stay at center, and you guys have mentioned that Hainsey will not play left guard. Is that correct?
Hainsey in his camp, once they slid him into center 2 years ago, from that point forward, they started training at center. They focus on him at center. The Bucs see him as a center. He's not a left guard. He's not going back to left guard. He's not cross-training as a left guard even.
In the offseason, he does work out with ex-Buc, former Cardinal.
AQ Shipley.
AQ Shipley. And he's a great trainer, great teacher. So they probably made that decision together that, my career is going to be at center. So, we'll see what happens.
Hey, AQ's smart as hell too, man. We've had him on the Loose Cannons. I talk to him often. You see him a lot on the Pat McAfee show. He is ridiculously smart, and you understand why, and also why the Bucs had him play center. He was a backup center for the Bucs, but again, you saw that center type of brain, and that's, from what I've been told, that's what they kind of see when they met Barton, like we talked about earlier. So I would not be shocked if Graham Barton and AQ Shipley become buddies at some point and talk through things, right? Because listen, he's not in the NFL. He's not considered a Hall of Famer. No knock on AQ, but he is literally one of the smartest people you'll ever hear talk about football. When he does his different segments on different podcasts I've seen, he is ridiculously smart. And I've chopped it up with him, and he's just, you could tell he's forgotten more football than I will ever know, which is insane. He's on a different level.
So, Samer, I wanted to let the listeners know, we're not going to be talking for, an hour, 45 minutes on these episodes. We're going to get through this pretty quickly, just get you kind of the background on these guys and who they are. But I have to ask you a question. I need your reaction to the Tom Brady roast.
I have not watched it yet.
Oh, my.
So that's a terrible answer. I'm sorry. It is. I've not watched it.
I should have given you some homework.
No. I don't like doing homework for shows. How was it?
At some of the jokes, I was like cringing a little bit, so like feeling a little uncomfortable. But no, I knew it was funny for sure. These roasters are for real. But I think the moment I'll remember the most is the main roaster, Ross or whatever his name is.
Yeah, Ross
started roasting Robert Kraft about what, and Brady came up to his ear and said, "We ain't saying any of that shit tonight." And it was like a true statement.
But from what I heard though, there was nothing off the table, but I think
Brady didn't want anything about Kraft's past being talked about.
I wonder why, man. And that makes me think that there's some sort of handshake agreement to just not bring it up so we don't, have people remember what happened, or maybe I don't know.
It was pretty brutal.
Yeah,
Watch it tonight. Just give it a watch.
Oh,
Let me know. We'll talk about it in the next episode. What do you think?
I'll definitely watch it. I was going to ask you a question on Graham Barton though.
Okay, yeah, for sure. Yeah,
so
Graham Barton.
NFL outlook wise for his first year as a rookie, what is the expectation for you? Like, what do you think you need to see from him? What do you expect to see from him? What do you hope to see from him? Like, I don't want to say Pro Bowl, things of that nature,
Right.
but like, what do you expect to see from Graham Barton, knowing what we know about him and not knowing a lot about him? What do you want to see from him this rookie year?
So I do feel like there's going to be pressure on Graham Barton to be an exceptional player in his rookie year. So with my thing with the first round, obviously we had an edge need. We got the edge in the second round, which we'll talk about next episode. But the guys are off the board. Latu's off the board, Versus off the board, and Chop Robinson's off the board at 21. So there really wasn't an edge worthy of that 26th pick. But and we both talked about this, if you're drafting a guard or a center in the first round, they need to be an impact player right away. Like this, This is not Cody Mock situation. This is you're a first round center. You need to be an impact, really effective blocker right away. There's no mistakes. Like you have a very high ceiling that you must fulfill. I mean, this guy, I know you said don't say Pro Bowler, but like he needs to play at a Pro Bowl level at center being picked in the first round.
So that's your hope, but what is your actual expectation? You expect him to play at that level?
My expectation is for him to have a 80 plus Pro Football Focus rating on the field.
Okay. All right. He's going to have growing pains. So that's the one thing I'm
and we saw that with Mock. We saw that with Cody Mock, but we're talking about the first round center.
No. I think my
first round center.
Yeah, my comparison to him is the kid that was drafted out of Notre Dame by the Colts a handful of years ago. Can't remember his name. I'm terrible with these names. He played left guard, I believe.
Oh, yeah. Of course. Quentin Nelson.
Quentin Nelson. That's who I want to compare him to, where I think he came in.
Well, that's a great – and Quentin dominated.
Yeah, that's what if I have a baseline, it would be
that's exactly what I'm saying. Guard or center in the first round, dominate.
It should be that. I think he's going to have some growing pains here and there. It's naturally going to happen. I don't expect the fans to have a backlash if that does occur. He's going to have a couple of reps where he's not going to win. It's just going to happen. But I would not be shocked if he has no reps where he doesn't win like that. I wouldn't be shocked if I saw another version of Tristan Wirfs in terms of the way he played as a rookie. He had one bad game when it was like 2 or 3 bad snaps against the Khalil Mack Bears when the Bucs had no wide receivers to throw to that night. So it was a little out of whack. I don't expect anything less than that, honestly. And I don't want to say Pro Bowl because he's a rookie, but yeah, I agree with you, man. It should be Quentin Nelson. That's the bare minimum that I want to see from this kid. Drafted to make an impact. I do expect the run game to take a massive leap, not just because of him, but because of him and what Liam's going to do, especially with the comments I made this past week. So, yeah, I expect him to be lights out. I want to see Tristan Wirfs again, but at at center in Graham Barton. And I expect that confidently, especially having read more about him and learning where he's from and all that kind of stuff.
And before we sign off, I do want to say about the Liam Cohen press conference. I know you guys had an episode about this last night on Loose Cannons, but when he said about Baker Mayfield, let the guy let the guy chuck it. Let him be a gunslinger, because if he fails, it doesn't matter. He's our quarterback one. Like, he's our guy. And for someone to just like say that, that's just good coaching, first of all, to say that to the media, saying, let Baker sling it. If Baker throws an interception, it's okay to fail. He's our quarterback. And I thought that was such a good thing for him to say, especially in one of his first press conferences, really when things are starting to get to roll with the Bucs in the offseason.
Well, it's one thing to have, confidence from the guys in your locker room as a quarterback, but it's another thing to have a guy in the room, in the front office too, in the coaching rooms with Todd Bowles, who has your back, right? So like the head coach isn't going to just yank the quarterback because he's got a guy defending him no matter what. But Liam also spoke to Baker has the feeling about him that it's okay to fail now that he has kind of established himself. There is no Tom Brady shadow like we talked about last night on the Loose Cannon. So for him to have that confidence from his coordinator and also from his teammates and ultimately from his head coach and from the GM, that's massive, because that also calls off the media members. Like, if he has a 2 interception game and, we squeak out a win or we end up losing, I don't want to see, the vultures. I don't think we will. And I think the coaches will have his back to where that won't happen. It won't, it won't spread like a virus, like it has in other media markets for him, especially in Cleveland. And obviously when he was down with the Carolina Panthers. And I think that's massive. But for him to say that he has a confidence coming off of Baker once he meets him like that, that's huge, man. I think we're going to get a different Baker in a good way this coming season.
I think we're going to get a different Baker in a good way, almost like a Matt Stafford way. I think the way Cohen's setting this up, and if you go back to Dave Canales, you almost felt like that was not dumbed down, but like a very comfortable, like wasn't aggressive. The running game sucked. I mean, Rashad had plenty of scrimmage yards, but it just nothing. I just don't. I hate that Canales is the coach of the Panthers, but I do like it at the same time because I don't think he's gonna be a great head coach. And people say, "Oh, you hate on Canales." I really think Cohen is gonna bring in a great, like, progressive offense for this team, and I think Baker has the best season of his entire career this year.
We talked about it throughout the season last year a lot, and it was like you can have all the ingredients to the chili, but that doesn't mean you're gonna know how to make that chili taste as good as the guy who made the recipe. So Canales is the guy that has all the ingredients. So he has this playbook full of all these great plays, but he doesn't know how to put them together, what order to put those seasonings and what order to put this in, how to cook that and this and to make it that perfect chili. But he has all the ingredients. Doesn't mean he's going to make the chili. And that you bring in Liam Cohen is a chef. He's an offensive mind. He understands how to mix this, how to mix that, when to call this, when to call that, how to set this up 5-6 plays ago, how to set this up a game or two ago, how to set it up from quarter to quarter. All those things that mattered from last year to this year. Because last year I think it was a collection of plays. As opposed to this year, it's going to be an offensive scheme and an understanding of how to unroll those plays and how to level those plays to where, all right, we've got them doing these two things. Now let's hit them with what we actually want them to think we're not doing, and then we're going to blow them up on this side. And he spoke so much about that stuff, man. It was awesome to hear.
And think about this offense that Jason Light has created for Liam Cohen. We now have Godwin in the slot. We have Mike Evans outside. We have McMillan playing outside. We have Rashad White and Bucky Irving. We have Graham Barton at center. We have Tristan Wirfs at left tackle, Godecki at right tackle, Cody Mock at right guard. I mean, and then you have oh my gosh, who's the rookie tight end?
Culp.
You got Culp and Otten together. I mean, I already saw Cohen talking about Culp. I mean, if Culp can just figure it out as a pro, I mean, he has every possibility of being a really good tight end. I mean, there's a lot of weapons for Cohen to work with, and I'm excited to see this season. I think they're trending towards like almost this Rams direction of like offensive football.
Well, they got J-Mac and they got Trey Palmer, who fit a lot of what the Rams really love to do, and that's where Liam Cohen became the offensive coordinator he is today. And then you have Chris Godwin, who's also ridiculously good in the slot. You got Mike Evans, who's Mike Evans. You've got a lot of these pieces that now they can, like you said, they can play with. They have a lot of cool ingredients. A lot more cool ingredients than Canales had on top of the plays that he had in his playbook. But now we've got a guy who I think has a good understanding of those plays and how to merge them to a guy like Bucky and how to merge him to a guy like Rashad, who they've already given homework to, and he's already improved apparently from their first meeting to what we saw, what they saw this past week with him. So, it's going to be fun. I loved hearing him say that we're going to be fast to the hole and fast through the hole.
Right.
Which is
exactly
awesome.
What I was going to say.
That's awesome. And also preaching patience at the same time. And he said, I can't teach vision, and I don't need to. But if we can understand what we're supposed to do and how we're supposed to do it and get to our spots at a certain time, he said that was a lot of the problem with the offensive line and the run blocking. He said we didn't understand how to get to our spots at the right time. Okay, shot at Dave. Another one. It was full of shots at Dave. The entire press conference, not just him, all the other guys who talked about it. So it's refreshing, dude, because I'm excited to see what Liam can do. And I think Liam has a chip on his shoulder, too, that he thinks he could prove to other people that he can do this at the NFL level. And Rashad said it. When he met him, he said, this guy oozes head coach. So be curious to see how that all plays out, which I think is terrifying, but also
we can't lose another one. I mean, I don't think we will. I
don't think we will.
Yeah, me too. I think there's going to be some things going on in the background with that.
Yep.
Hey, you guys can find us on Fully Loaded Bucs on Instagram and on all streaming services. Fully Loaded Bucs, a Buccaneers podcast, and you'll find us on the Loose Cannons channel on YouTube. Keep watching.
Yeah, hit the like button, hit that subscribe button. If you enjoyed this video, look for the rest of the draft picks that JC and I are going to give you a little bit more of a deep dive on and get you a little, nitty gritty background history, that kind of stuff on these guys as we get ready for a very long offseason of almost nothing soon. But at least we got the schedule released next week, right, man?
Yeah, exactly.
All right. Go Bucs.
Go Bucs.